says we are live. We can see Zwift. Alrighty. Here we go.
Here we go. I can see the live stream.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. Should be able to see Zwift now. Apologies to everyone, as the stream we sorted out. We tested it all last night. Everything was fine, and now, of course, when I look at it, not everything is there. So let's go figure. Hey, let's try again. On and off. All right, our race is about to start. Bear with us as things come out. We're going to try and get this all sorted. I'll leave the race streaming. Let's see if I can try and get the window to be the right size. Ross, bear with me for a second.
No problems.
Leave me on the start line there. So let me flick to Zwift and get away from me. Let's start with Rodney. Here we go. Abdu completely smashed WMZ in their ladder race yesterday, so we'll stick with him for now, and I'll see if I can get this to be showing the full screen. Is there anyone out there watching the screen that can help me with this? Oh my goodness, what's going on? Two Muppets trying to figure out what's going on. Dave's busy racing. Maybe he can save me.
This is our first attempt, so don't be too hard on yourself, mate.
Yeah, right.
They're on.
They're off. That's what matters. We'll see what happens when we get closer to the climb. It should sort itself out a little bit for now. And then we've got two groups going. We've got an A and a B all starting in together, so it should be pretty well mixed up. And I expect it to be a reasonably measured start from everybody. I think there's going to be a lot of looking at both directions, a lot of looking around. If we were there in person, wondering who's going to go first. Might be a few nerves in Masaka in the training room.
Yeah, explain the training room in Masaka. So we've probably got 10 machines set up side by side. Fans blowing from the ceiling. Everyone's a bit nervous and twitchy. Good to see they're actually wearing all their Masaka kit too.
Well organised.
Always like to see who's doing all the work out the front, pulling the peloton. Looks like Rodney at the moment.
I'm gonna leave you to have a look and see who's in there. We've got Ezra up there as well. I'm gonna try and get this thing to actually fit in the side, so we can see the whole screen.
We'll let him get into the race.
Yeah. All right. Ross, while we're waiting for me to figure out what on earth I'm doing to get this stream to work properly, tell us a bit about the history of the club. First of all, when did the club start?
Well, we're in our 6th official year. It started a little bit earlier than that, just with a few informal sort of equipment deliveries. So background is I work for an organisation in Australia called Cotton On Foundation, and we do a lot of humanitarian work in Uganda. Our head office is actually based in Masaka. And I'm a cycling fan, so just by chance we stumbled across some cyclists riding local bikes really in Masaka, and we befriended them, and over time got to understand what their raw capabilities were. So when I say formally, it was probably at that point, once we realised that there was just so much raw talent in Masaka, we formalised the Masaka Cycling Club Foundation and started to build a program around it. So we're in our 6th year now. Project was designed to be owned by cycling fans all around the world through small monthly donations. We launched the concept through a podcast that I was hosting at the time, and we managed to secure 250 cycling fans from all around the world putting in a small monthly donation to start up the the Masaka Cycling Club Foundation project. So, and here we are, 6 years on.
6 years on with a barely working live stream.
Yeah, who's this sprinting off the front? Are we driving this pacing?
We are. So
I'm just trying to keep an eye on our
Abdu's
lads.
currently sitting on 10 watts. So he's 10 watts a kilo. He's at 800. He's held 800 watts for about the last 15 seconds, and he's gone off the front. Hassan's
Well, Abdu, geez, they're pushing the pace early. Don't they know they've got a big climb coming up?
Well, they're trying to thin it out in the meantime. So we've got Ball from Arrow.
All right.
Arrow have been great rivals. There we go. He's gone over Abdu. Well done, mate. Solid effort. And so Arrow have been really great supporters of ladder racing, and they race regularly with the herd. I've had some really good races with them, and it's really great to see them riding with us today as well. So thanks for coming. We've got a couple of Arrow riders in there today. Thanks for coming, Mr. Ball. And you can see after that attack from Abdu, who is by far our best sprinter, we've had a group that's managed to come with us. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 that are right in amongst it. Just want to catch the stream now. I suffer. And then we've got a bunch of our A's and B's still managed to hang in there as well. I'm not surprised that Aaron is still there. For those of you that aren't familiar with Aaron's riding, if you see his watts drop anything below 3, you're in trouble, because he has one of the best sprints, and he loves doing them up hills as well that I have seen. In our ladder race yesterday, he held, I think it was around 12 watts a kilo for a 30-second trip up the leg snapper. It's insane.
You're talking about Aaron Burrell?
No. This is Aaron Tanganogan. Sorry, Aaron, if I said your last name wrong. Who I'm with on here.
Right.
Where is Aaron
Burrell? I'm watching.
Yeah, where is Aaron?
He's out there. Well, he was in the list. He was in the start list. Can you find him?
Not at the moment. He's going to need to move further towards the front, but we'll see him soon, I reckon. He's patient.
Yeah.
He's patient. We'll try and get to him.
Well, I just got a glance of Davis. I don't know whether you can follow Davis for a second so we can just check his numbers. But
wow, he's gone. Where is he? As they move around, it's hard to catch.
Yeah. I'm still getting. I'm not getting a full screen. I'm not getting a full screen, so I can't see the rider list. So
it's on Davis now.
Are you seeing full screen?
Nope.
Buffering. Here we go.
So we're on Davis at the moment.
Yeah, well, Davis is one of our superstars. So he's been in the program now for the whole period, the whole 6 years. So from a 16-year-old through to, I think he's 20. He's still 21. Must be coming up 22. But yeah, he's been one of our stars. So
we've got attack from Elijah going through here. Go, son.
Really?
Yeah,
well, Hassan and Elijah are the teenagers.
Aaron's launched, and then
16-year-old.
Elijah working together to try and shut that down. We've got Cole tagging in behind, and then the rest of that front pack is drafting in behind. Let's see if Aaron can stay away. Looks like Masaka have managed to shut it down there. Well done, boys. Nice one, Aaron, giving them something to chase. So we've already got already given them a 5-second gap there. So we've got 5 seconds from the very front group.
There they go again. They're chasing.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of a breakaway there. So the question is, we've got Brian on the front. Brian, are you going to do anything there, buddy? The amount of times I've ridden up hills with Brian. This is great.
Yeah.
Great rival of mine through DSS, both in we're in the same division of DRL. Of ZRL, and we also race ladder together as well. We have lots of good rivalry between Herd and DSS. They're good blokes.
It's good to see Elijah out there chasing. So young 18-year-old. We have a scholarship program at the Masaka Cycling Club, and we break it down into 3 tiers. We've got elite, development, and club scholarships. Just provides some funding and a small wage to the riders to try and free them up to do some training. And Elijah's sort of stuck in between that elite and development section. So it's good to see him out there pushing pretty hard. He's really working hard at the moment to try and get to that elite phase of the scholarship. So yeah, he's out there pushing hard, chasing down all the attacks. I don't know whether that's the plan. Is that the plan, Coach?
I didn't give him one.
Or didn't you provide any?
No, I told them they're on their own today. I can't give them any inside information.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
Have we got a full?
There's the mountain.
Have we got full screen? Did I get it to work?
No.
Oh,
It sort of flashed to full screen briefly and then went back to partial screen.
there we go.
I can't see it.
I think I made it work.
Really?
Yep, I think so. I might have finally got to work.
No.
We've got Hassan back off the front again. Now we've got a 16-second
Might need to up.
with Hassan, Aaron, and Elijah who have gone off the front here.
I might try and just refresh my screen, see if it goes to full screen. Hopefully you don't lose me.
Let's see how it goes.
1 sec. Oh, here we go. We're on.
Oh,
yep.
Fantastic.
Got it.
All right, now.
Okay, now I can see the rider list.
Now go try and find us. Sorry, everyone. We're almost there. I promise. Let's remove the.
You got any idea how far it is until the climb starts?
Still a while away.
This young fella, Hassan, he's 16, so we're putting a lot of work into him at the moment. I think he weighs 55 kilos, so he's a climber. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. So these three look like they've broken away. So
I found us.
Really?
We should be on screen in just a minute. Here we go. There we go. Hello, everyone. We should be in. I think I figured it out.
Takes a while to update. I noticed a couple of the lads have opted for the Tron rather than the Trek, the orange Trek.
Yeah, I wish. Hey, Zwift, can you make the Trek faster so we can keep on riding an orange bike? Because it's not fast enough.
The boys keep dropping back to the Tron, I'm noticing, so that's all right.
Because the Trons are faster than the Treks.
Here we go.
You'll see everyone on SL8s today, because that's currently the strongest all-rounder that you'll see in Zwift. And so, if our boys were on the SL8, they'll probably be considerably faster than what they currently are, because they are riding Trons, which is not the fastest bike on the course.
I'm looking at the images of us in the live stream, and we are on severe delay, mate.
Oh.
We might be better off going with the voiceover.
All right, and then in that case.
Anyway, tell me, you're the.
There we go.
Yeah, get rid of us. No one wants to look at us.
All right, I'm going to bring Zwift up so I can jump between riders.
All right, you do that. Can I ask you some questions while you're doing that?
Yep, go for it.
So I'd love to know some of these answers as well, but you are the elite coach based in Beijing.
Yep.
You run all your programming through Training Peaks with all our elite 10 riders. You do need to use Zwift, who are great supporters of our project, but I just want to understand from you, or can you share with the watchers the benefits of Zwift and why it's important to our program and why you use it?
One of the main things that I really appreciate with Zwift, there's probably three main aspects to that. So the first one is its integration with Training Peaks. So what it means that I can do is work with Coach Peter, and it's a crime that we haven't mentioned him and Madam Aisha already. So Coach Peter, you're a legend. So what I can do is discuss with Coach Peter about what our upcoming events are, what our long-term goals are, and then we can lock those in so we can work in sort of 6 to 12 week blocks. Then in Training Peaks, I can outline what we're doing. And we're just coming up the first part of the climb now. So what we can do is we can look at how does our overall annual training plan look, and then how can we break those down into smaller chunks. So for example, in our current block, we're working towards national championships, which are happening. I'm going to sit on. Hang on, it's going to move the stream to. Where's Aaron? Davis. There you go. Let's see what Davis is up to because he's starting to push. So what we can do is we can break it down. So we've got our Uganda National Championships coming up at the end of June. And so that's what we're currently working towards. What that then enables me to do is work with Coach Peter to figure out what are our training days. So for example, as the teams go up a 10% gradient, 11% gradient here, go everyone, got feathers everywhere. You see Davis starting to roll off a little bit here as well. He's starting to bridge that gap towards the lead group that got away earlier there. I expect to see that shut down in a second by Davis. There he is, bringing in Mr. Robinson from 4-star. Great ladder race from 4-star the other day as well with the herd of Cassowaries, larger, stronger team. It was awesome to watch. So what we can do is we can use Training Peaks to figure out, right, Monday we're outdoors, we're doing hill climbing, doing hill reps, whatever it might be. Tuesday we can do recovery or ZRL if it's Zwift Racing League is one of our main priorities throughout the year. And then it enables me to give structured training that wouldn't otherwise be possible because we don't have bikes with power meters, and trying to get enough working, reliable, good battery life Garmin's donated and into Uganda is really hard. And then we've got to have the heart rate monitors that go with that, because power is not the be all and end all of training. Like, it's certainly one of the better objective measurements, because 200 watts is 200 watts. It doesn't matter about the climate conditions so long as you're calibrated, whereas heart rate varies with hydration, fatigue, heat or cold, clothing, like so many variables on heart rate. So being able to train with our indoor setup means that the riders aren't overtraining or undertraining, and it helps them to be much more precise in what they're doing. Prior to the use of Zwift with structured training, they raced. Right? They raced in Zwift. There was not really any zone 2. It was just full gas all the time. And so what we found is that we had really good fitness for about 45 minutes. Right? They could go absolute full gas for a Zwift race. But then as soon as we put them into outdoor racing, of any race longer than 45 minutes, we just weren't getting the results, because while they were fit for 45-minute Zwift races. They weren't fit for longer 2-3 hour duration races where we would expect them to be. Right? And so for me, from a coaching point of view, not so much from a whole program point of view, but from a coaching point of view, for me, the Zwift isn't necessarily about the racing part, but there is a certain element to that we can get to. For me, the Zwift part is about being able to monitor what the riders are doing and how effectively they're doing it, to make sure that they are actually in the process of training like they're supposed to, which otherwise we wouldn't be able to monitor, because we just don't have the funds or technology to run 9 bikes with power meters with Wahoos or Garmin's that are syncing to higher end smartphones that reliably connect to Bluetooth devices that then upload into the cloud, because data's expensive for the riders. Like, it's just not realistic in the context that the riders are in to get that level of data to their coaches.
Yeah.
And so what Zwift enables us to do is set structured training. So whether that's intervals, whether that's zone 2, whatever it might be, we can do that within Zwift. I can go in live as well, so we're all in the same world. I can fan view, and then I can yell at them for having the wrong cadence.
Which is a big problem in Africa.
Oh my
cadence being a big problem.
The amount of time that I see these guys going at like 60 RPM. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick on Fred. I guarantee it. Yep, 67.
Yeah, what's his jump on Fred now, and let's just have a look at his RPM. I know he's in climb mode, but I've just noticed a little note. Yeah, a little note for Coach Peter. I just noticed some of the bike choices probably not appropriate. They're running the disc brakes and not the disc brakes, the disc wheels, and so they're not really on climbing rigs. So that's something we can tidy up too. There's the case in point.
Right. So it's Ronald hasn't got his heart rate monitor connected. He'll get disqualified. That's right. We'll see what we can do.
Fred's pumping out 75 at the moment. He's a lot higher than what he normally is.
He was 60 when I first went to him. So Zwift enables me to have a level of interactions. Zwift enables me. There we go. He's up to 81 now. Good work, Fred. Zwift enables. He's one of our OGs. Zwift enables me, and by monitor I don't mean in a bad way. It enables me to go in while they're doing their workouts if I'm available, which with the time difference I often am. And I can go in and they're always on target. That's one of the great things is they really try their best during the workouts, and that structure enables them to use their training time much more efficiently. So when they have to hold 300 watts, they just can't do that outside because of the traffic, the road conditions. You know, you've got boda-bodas or motorbikes everywhere. You've got people crossing the road. You got crappy roads, especially in wet season, and it's so much of their outdoor riding is really disruptive to the actual training. Zone 2 is like this mythical land that many of them haven't found yet, where their training was not a thing for these guys, let alone trying to have particular workouts on particular days and bringing some structure into the training. So what Training Peaks has enabled us, so that we can really manage fatigue in the way that professional athletes should be managed, so that the riders are able to perform their best for their particular races, whether that's ZRL and making sure that they've got rest days prior to them so that they're rolling in fresh, or whether that's thinking about big events like the Great Rift Valley Challenge in Iton, the Memorial Race, also in Iton in September, or whether that's Nationals in June. Being able to manage their fatigue and their training load, whether that's ATL, CTL, or any of the other metrics in Training Peaks, being able to do that it's made a huge difference. We haven't seen a massive improvement in our Zwift results because we've stepped away from some of our Zwift racing when we're focusing on our in-person IRL races. But what we have seen is more consistency. So what I'm seeing is our low to mid-level riders, as they come into the club, are improving more quickly, and they're holding those improvements as they come up. So Elijah's a great example where, as I really started coming in with structured training about 18 months ago, Elijah was very much a B rider, and he's come up into A+ range now with his short races, because his fitness games are really starting to kick in for him this year, because he's had that structured year-long program that we didn't have previously. So those two programs, Training Peaks and Zwift, are really enabling us to structure out the training in a way that we probably realistically couldn't do otherwise, let alone me doing from a continent away.
No, that's we've seen some great improvements. So just to clarify a couple of things, back in those old days before you came along, Owen, when we were racing, I've left a lot. For those Zwift nerds out there, our highest team ranking ended up becoming 25 in the world. And some of I think we had 3, maybe even 4 riders in the top 100. So that was when they were just focusing purely on Zwift racing. So yeah, when they dial into this type of racing, it's it really exposes their raw talent. But like you say, like you just explained, that has to be nurtured in the right way. To translate into racing outdoors.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you said there. I think one of the reasons why our ranking's gone down a little bit is because we aren't racing as much. So we used to be heavily involved in the tiny races, but trying to get our technology consistent enough to please the whole organisation of the tiny races, because we do have variability in our conditions. The trainers get really hot. Trying to make all of that work is a challenge, and so we had to sort of pivot and think about what sort of Zwift racing do we want to focus on, and for us that's ZRL, because that gives us the best overall competition, and it also brings some of the best racing tactics that the riders are more likely to see. And this is what I said I wanted to come back to, because one of the great things about Zwift is it exposes our riders to essentially bunch rides. Right? Not in the group ride sense, but as in a race sense. Now, unfortunately, they miss out on rubbing shoulders and elbows and actual positioning and that sort of stuff, which they can't get. but it does give them a chance to start thinking about, when do I attack? When do I respond? How do we work together as a team? And before I was involved, I'd say that as a club, we really just rode as individuals in the same room. Right? It's like everyone rolls up in their race kit on race day, but then rides their own race. And that's what we were essentially doing in Zwift. And then that would then come through when we raced in the outdoors. And we were racing IRL, is that there was no cooperation amongst our team members. Oh, look at Baker going off down the hill. Go, son. There we go.
Who's in the leading group? Can you just jump into the leading group? Is it still Hassan and...
Yeah, we've got Andrew.
Who was it?
Oh, go Andrew. Well done, mate.
So this is the front group, is it?
Yeah.
There's leaders like Davis. Davis is like 11 seconds up the road.
No, we've got a decent sized bunch there. What we've got, okay, so it's moving too quickly for me to count. There's 7. Here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 in that front group.
Right.
Yep. And then if we go
still
back
a solid group.
we've got a decent group going here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 in the group behind. That's only 30 seconds back. I wouldn't be surprised if these two groups come back together again. And then we've got Ronald in no man's land. Come on, Ronald. Either drop back or go and find somebody. And Dave, legendary Dave. We'll get to Dave in a little bit today. And Tim from DSS, also an absolute legend as well. So we got, and then after that, we start getting a little bit more spread out. Oh, we've got some of the Benin boys came in. Yay! Hello, fellas. Teams from Africa Rising are in. Awesome. It's nice.
Oh, good. 100%.
Let's give them some kudos.
Oh, yeah. The Benin guys are just on a flyer at the moment. Their development is going nuts with Adrian Nee and Shindu.
They're probably all absolutely shattered because they've just finished tour of Benin. So we'll get to them in a bit. What was the question? What were we chatting about before? We'll come back to that front group as they continue to make their way up the hill. They're only like a quarter way uphill. We've got plenty of time to chat. This is a long way up.
Okay. What were we talking about? I've lost track now. I was just intrigued as to what numbers and who was jumping into the race. Yeah, look at all the Benin guys. Can you see Adrian in there?
Hang on, it's lit up at the front.
He was on the list.
Isra's launched.
I don't know whether he's actually racing there.
Andrew's responding. It's all off. What's Gab doing? Oh, they're coming onto the bridge. That's why. Okay. Let's see if Gab can get into the super tuck here. Nope, he's backed off. Wise move.
Just on the aero guys.
Sorry.
On the aero guys, I want to have a bit of a shout out to the aero guys, because when we started entering this platform, they were very, very helpful, as most of the teams were actually, in bringing us up to speed tactically. And NZ Bro as well, like they were very, very supportive. We actually did a few races with them in isolation just to work on tactics, because our guys were so raw, as you indicated. So just those tactical races really brought them up to speed quickly. And a lot of the NZ Bro and Aero guys are monthly donors of the program. So yeah, super stoked to see the Aero guys jumping in and participating in this one. What we might do next time, Owen, given this is the first attempt, would love to get more of the Aero and NZ Bro guys in there as part of the live stream. So, and maybe invite some of those guys in to chat about what they've seen around the evolution of Masaka.
Right now, what I'm seeing from Aero are huge biceps. Way to go, son. Ripped. Right.
I'm stoked if our young guys that are still in this league group.
I'm not surprised.
I expect Davis to be in there.
If any of you guys are watching the stream while racing, watch out for Davis. You got to tag that guy, because when he decides to go, he was away from the club for a while, and perhaps he wanted to share some of his story around that in a bit in terms of the challenges that the club faces, the riders face. When he came back, he hadn't raced in Zwift for ages, so he'd lost his categorization. And so he popped in at B, because that's where he managed to come in early on. And I was like, how long is Davis going to stay B for? And it took 3 races. And so the ZRL that he was in for B, I can't remember the name of the course that we were on, but he went up the aqueduct. He left at the start of the aqueduct com, and he just disappeared. No one saw him for the rest of the race. I think he did 4.6 for 30 minutes or something. Like, he just left. He was just gone, and that got him instantly upgraded. And we're like, no surprises there.
Yeah, you raise a really good point. Like, in the past, because of this natural talent these guys have on this, so, like, we've had instances where Davis would have been considered to be cheating. You know, like, the kid is that talented, I might add, in the clubhouse. You know, to go off and do that in a solo breakaway and just blow the field away raises alarm bells on occasions. But be assured, these kids are just out there pushing as hard as they can, and they are pulling the numbers that
you referred to. I remember when Hassan got flagged, and one of the race organisers wanted him to dual record, and we're trying to dual record with a pair of power pedals that would work, and he got flagged because he basically put out for his age. I think Hassan might have been 16 at the time. He put out something that was categorised as a world-class effort for his age. And so there's no recognition or pathways for him. Yeah,
helps that he's under 55 kilos as well. So that Hassan is one that we've got earmarked as one of the next ones to go into World Cycling Centre, the UCI World Cycling Centre down in South Africa. Yeah, he's only 16. He's got some maturity.
Pause there before you talk more about Hassan going to the UCI Centre. Tell us, for those that don't know. Matt says, turn my mic up on the stream. Okay. It's Max. Sorry. I think, Matt, you just asked me to turn my mic up. It's on max. I don't know if I can turn it up anymore. I don't know where there's it. I can't. No, there's nothing else I can do. I'll try and talk more loudly. How about that? At least that means someone's watching. G'day, Matt. Shout out.
Thanks, Matt.
Makes me feel good. At least someone's watching. So what we've got is a relationship with the UCI, because they have a training area in South Africa. Tell us a little bit more about what that is and how it fits into the development of African cycling in general.
Yeah, well, it goes back a number of years where Jock Boyer and Kimberly Coates introduced the World Cycling Centre which is the UCI Development Centre down in Paarl, South Africa. Jock of Team Africa Rising. So essentially they've been in the African cycling world for well over a decade, I think coming up 15 years. And they had well-established relationships with Jean-Pierre down there at the World Cycling Centre and introduced us. And we started sending a couple of riders down there, underdeveloped, mind you. This is probably 4 years ago. Started sending them down there and started to learn the process a little bit. We learned the process quite quickly. So we send our young under-23 riders down. They spend a whole month there in the World Cycling Centre being developed. And at the end of it, you get this coach's report that shows you all the deficiencies, all the positives, negatives, where they need to work, FDP test, all those sorts of things. And the riders bring that information back, hand to people like you, Owen, and we work on both on their strengths and their weaknesses to try and develop them further, and then send them back a few months later just so World Cycling Centre can see the improvements. So we've had 6 or 7 riders go through that system, and that is our pathway essentially. So we have no intention of becoming a professional team or anything like that, where these kids put their heads up and show us that they've got some pretty extraordinary talent. We will push them down into that World Cycling Centre system in Paarl, South Africa, help develop them through that process. So one of the success stories is Nantu Maria. So she has basically been through that system and been selected by the World Cycling Centre to participate in an African program over in Europe as we speak for 6 months in preparing for the World Championships in Rwanda this year. So Maria is 18, almost 19, and she's in that program now with a select few, a couple from Benin, Rwanda. I can't remember the others, but there's a select few of about 10 riders that are based in France as we speak. That have been carefully selected by the World Cycling Centre. So what we hope will happen through this pathway program is that Maria will gain a lot of experience racing in Europe. What people might not understand is the racing opportunities in Africa are few and far between, and there's certainly not big pelotons when they do happen. So they don't get that aggressive race experience like all the Europeans grow up knowing, literally from day one. So Maria's over there settling and adjusting into the European racing scene and probably getting elbowed and pushed and pulled as you'd expect, Owen, and probably pooing her pants most of the time. And it'll probably take her, 2 or 3 months to adjust properly and get used to that aggressive racing environment. But that will really condition her and put her in good shape for World Championships. And hopefully she can finish the race. The goal would be to finish the race. Sadly, the course is a very, very hilly course, and Maria's a bit of a power athlete. So if she gets around and finishes it, it'll be an outstanding achievement. But just being able to get her to the start line, her feeling confident that she can compete, feel comfortable in a large peloton.
Here we go. Hang on. Split up at the front. Aaron's trying to get into a super tuck.
We're on a downhill, are we?
No, he's gone back. No, we just finished It's a Com, so we had a good little contest there for the final pass. We got some PBs. One from Andrew, we got one from Aaron. It's awesome. Well done, everybody. So yeah, going back into it. I want to jump on briefly there. Remember when the World Championships were in Scotland? And
yes.
During I think it was the women's road race. We were watching because Florence, one of our earlier success stories, was racing in it. And the commentator was saying what a shame all these African riders were stuck at the back of the peloton and how they were back there, and that what they really needed was just more experienced racing in groups before they came to Europe and big international events. And I wanted to throw the remote at the TV and yell and scream at them because of the lack of understanding of the barriers and lack of opportunities to African athletes. You can't just... These juniors aren't coming up through a structured junior race program from the Australian Institute of Sport or British Cycling. Like, they're coming in essentially off the street.
Yeah.
Right. And when I say off the street, they're not coming in as in like they were walking to school or they were walking to work or they're walking home from somewhere. Like, some of these kids are living in... A lot of our riders are living in poverty, and they're coming into the club as for cycling and to make income, but they're not riding a bike that mum and dad bought them, or that was a part of their local cycling team and is sponsored by the Australian government or the US Olympic team. Like, there's none of that grassroots culture within many of these countries that cycling is starting to take off with. And when I say Africa, I literally mean whether that's Morocco, Egypt, Uganda, Kenya, South Africa, or more so in South Africa, but or whether that's over in Benin or in Congo, or in Ghana. Like, it's literally taking off everywhere in the way that it didn't start in the same way in Europe. And so these kids can't just get a bike from a second-hand buy and sell group on Facebook and jump in a local DCAT race, because those races don't exist. It's not the same pathway towards racing and being a successful cyclist as that level of expert come to cycling in the way that you and I did, or whether you're racing or a recreational rider, is there's no bike shop. You can't just walk into a bike shop in Masaka and buy a bike, because you can't buy racing bikes in Uganda.
100%. So that adjustment period that Maria's going through as we speak is quite a daunting experience, as you can imagine. Like, Owen, like since she landed in France, we get a message pretty much every day, with her sharing her thoughts on her experiences. So, and what's beautiful about the World Cycling Centre coaches is that they are fully aware of this. People who have been involved in African cycling for many, many years, they give them the room, they nurture them so beautifully, into that world, and they give them time. Like some of these kids just pop and they perform, which some are in this group over in France at the moment. They just pop and perform. They're just super talents. But more often than not, these kids will take time. They'll take time to adjust, get used to the elbows, getting pushed around. The narrow, windy roads, like wet surfaces, things like that they don't get to experience in Africa. So there's a lot for them to absorb, and the learning curve is very, very steep.
Yeah, and going just to like wet surfaces, um, through the monsoon, it's really hard for us to train outdoors in Masaka, because every time they ride, they go and get punctures because all the crap comes up off the roads with the rain. But you can't just go and buy a racing inner tube from the bike shop because there isn't one. Right?
Yeah.
You slash a tire, and there's not just a box of tires waiting at the shop to go and buy another one. Right? And so with the support from Cirque Cycling, so big shout out to Shannon and the rest of the Cirque team based out of Beijing, cirque.cc, if you're looking for an awesome titanium bike. Happy to promote that. I ride two of them. And we've got, I think, 7, 9 of their bikes.
12.
12 of their bikes as our training workhorses in Uganda that are literally tested and tortured by the riders. Sorry, they're not tested. They're great bikes. They're tortured by the riders and continue to stand up to it. Shannon and his precision of spare parts, all the support from our community in Australia that you take over all the spares when you go over for work. To make sure there are recently Trek coming on board with the race bikes out of Trek China. All this support is what's needed in order to have not even a professional level racing team, just to have amateurs on the road. Right, just literally to keep the bikes on the road, it takes a global effort, and we're very fortunate to have support at a global scale that enables this humble little project to make such a big impact. We've kind of jumped around topics a little bit here. We've talked about pathways with the UCI. I want to come back and be super local. As we keep on just chuffing up the climb here, I think we'll see a bit of action in a moment as the fun group starts to make their way through. Where the scholarship program. So just a tiny bit of background. You've heard Ross tonight talk. Ross, what is the scholarship and why is it necessary?
Yeah, well, most of these kids, they do not have any money. So, I don't want to talk about the negatives too much, but the real life that these kids live is often, survival. So they're out there trying to hustle for a buck.
Sorry, keep going. Andrew's giving it heaps of that.
Sorry, then?
Keep going.
No, often these kids are out there trying to hustle to make a buck, to put a meal in their tummy. So, which is not really, which really doesn't give them the opportunity or the time to come to the clubhouse and train and chase their hopes and dreams. And, like these kids have got hopes and dreams like any other kid. So what the scholarship's designed to do is put money in their pocket to free up time, put food in their bellies, free up time so they can follow your program and get better at cycling and put themselves in a position to go to places like the World Cycling Centre. So the scholarships are super, super important. Whilst it's not a huge amount of money to the Western world, it's enough to free them up to train, chase their hopes and dreams, and give them the opportunity to have an experience like, a lot of Westerners do around the world. So it's super, super important. It feeds them. It's often the primary income for their whole family.
What sort of numbers? What's a let's say Australian dollar amounts are you talking here? So one of our elite riders, what are they getting a month? I mean, I know this. This is for the audience.
They're getting 150 to $200 a month, Aussie.
Okay, so 150 to 200 Australian dollars. So US dollars, about 100 to 150 US, I think, in the current exchange rate. And so food, it's supporting families, so they're often providing for younger, older siblings, parents. And at what level of comfort is that providing?
A pretty good level of comfort, I should say. There wouldn't be too many kids pre this scholarship that would have been earning 200,000 shillings, Ugandan shillings, a month. It's at the very, very low end of income in Uganda, but for these kids, it's very, very significant to them. So they do go out there and work in between training, so and to live just life in general, day to day. But the 200,000 shillings that they get from the scholarship program is significant at their craft of cycling. So, and we these scholarships we have about 20 months around the world. So cycling fans around the world chipping in a small monthly donation for this whole program to work is pretty extraordinary. I should say, Owen, as well, I always forget to say this, but this whole project is 0% admin and 100% volunteer. So
yeah, I don't get paid.
So it's a pretty.
My work pays me to do my 10 to 15 hours a week that I put in this coaching is completely free. Patient is club administrator, so that's Madam Aisha, as we call her. Her role is multifaceted, from helping our team as they need transport to get to races, to going to visa appointments with Miria and other riders as they need to leave the country, helping to book flights, all the way down to making sure there's enough food purchased for races or for when we have our feeding program, which we might get a chance to talk to soon. Meanwhile, the front groups hit the grade, by the way. Poor buggers.
Yeah, the climb's turning dark red. So, good. Can we go through some of the? Can we go through some of the riders that are left in that front group, Coach?
Yeah, we'll come back to the monthly scholarship, because I do want to have a sales pitch in here as well, because the kind of people that are bothering to listen to this stream are the kind of people that we want to be involved with our project, and so there is a sales pitch coming, because as a monthly donor, I actually pay the club for me to be involved. Think about that, right? Like, I donate. So there's people like, oh, do you get paid? I'm like, actually, I pay $30 a month for the privilege. Sorry, I've been a monthly donor for almost 3 years now in conversation today. So let's get to who we have. We've currently got Andrew can gap on Isra, and then they've got to tell us more about Andrew. He's a relative newcomer.
Well, Andrew is one of those riders that are caught between elite and development.
Davis is off.
Those riders that are caught between elite and development.
Davis is off.
Scholarship.
9 watts. He's decided he's had enough. He's going to try and close that gap.
Recently had a couple of road races in Kampala City, and Davis was right in the mix in both of those races against a few of them hard in racing, and just see where he can take his talent. So
yeah. So he's already taken a bit of a bite there out of the lead, like it's 10 seconds. We've also got Isra pushing hard as well, so I wonder if that gap will close. But we've got 16 seconds out of the group that Davis left, so he's already put 16 seconds into the group with Hassan and Aaron, and then we've got Elijah back there with Mr. Bolwell. Sorry, I don't know your first name, mate. So let's go back to Andrew. Tell us a little bit more about him.
Andrew is one of these kids that are caught in between elite and development. He has a huge amount of talent, but life takes him away from cycling on the odd occasion. So we've just got to remember, this program's not all about trying to produce elite top-end talent.
In fact,
this program is about
not trying to make top-end talent, but that's not our focus.
No,
we find top-end
talent. It is exactly that. Yeah. So the byproduct of what we're doing is exposing some of this top-end talent, whereas Andrew is one of those kids that does need to work. I don't think he has a great structured family family around him. So he sort of comes and goes when he can. But this is an example. Like he's a kid who's probably I don't think you even have him on your program at the moment, Owen. Is that correct?
No, he's in.
He's in the program. So he certainly wouldn't be fit. But you can throw him into a race like this and produce the numbers he is, and he's on the wrong bike, hanging in there on the climb. So huge talent. I think he's still a teenager.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and have a look. But
yeah, so we come back to Davis. Davis just closed 25 seconds.
who's he actually chasing? I'm trying to can't quite see.
He's chasing Andrew and Ezra.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so he
well,
just put 20 seconds into Aaron and Hassan in about 40 seconds of riding.
Okay, I've got you now. I've got him.
The question is whether or not he's going to be able to close that last bit of the gap to Ezra and Andrew on the downhill. So, come on, Davis, pedal hard and get into Super Tuck. There we go. He's going to have 9 watts. If any of you are new, there he is. Good boy. You must have heard me from far away. If any of you that are watching and new to Zwift racing, if you can get your speed high enough and you can get over 5% in your gradient downhill, then you get into a Super Tuck. If you're ever coming over a crest with the descent ahead of you, sprint the hell out of that coming over the crest, because the sooner you get into Super Tuck, the quicker you can put a gap on people. So there you go, hot tip from Zwift. So so you see Davis is almost up to Ezra now, and then I wouldn't be surprised.
Can you put it on Davis? Can you put it on Davis so we can have a look at his numbers? He reached a point where he thought he just wanted to dedicate some time on building a business, generating some income. Went to Kampala, lost his way a little bit. Thankfully came back to Masaka and rejoined us, and can't speak highly enough of this kid. Like, he's so disciplined. He's always on time.
For a second. Oh, he's backed off. There you go. Go on, Aaron, go faster again. He was at 1300 watts.
Yeah, it's not buff. It's struggling. Buffering is just a bit annoying on YouTube. So hopefully we get it all once it records. But yeah, Davis is a gun. So hopefully one day we'll see him in a continental team somewhere around the world.
Davis had
getting the support.
2 trips to the UCI Centre in Park.
2 trips, yep. He's represented his nation over in African Continental Championships in, where was it? Can't remember the country.
Kenya, last year.
And, no, not Kenya. One before, or 2 before.
Ghana.
Anyway. Yes, Ghana. Yeah. I think it was Ghana, yeah. Sure. Ghana. So, under the watchful eye of Adrian Nanchu, got involved in a crash, unfortunately, but was up there. He was competitive. So,
especially if you're supporting your family, family and community expectations are very high on these riders. So last week Hassan disappeared, and we didn't know where he went. And then 3 days later, he popped his head up back up. We didn't know where he went. And then 3 days later, he popped his head up back up again, and we're like, "Where were you?" He goes, "Oh, I dropped my phone and it broke, and my mum had pulled me out because my grandmother was on oxygen, and we had to go and look after her." And like, it was like this 100 word long thing that I got sent on WhatsApp. But it's the reality of these riders is that one wrong thing just cascades onto other barriers. Like, they're on the edge of they're involved in something really awesome, but they're on the edge of constantly going back under again. And it's like you know how we talk about the snail on the wall. It's like, one step forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I feel like our boys and girls, they're like 2 steps forward, and then they just like stay there for a bit, but it takes barely a breeze to push them back a step. And so they're constantly push them back a step. And so they're constantly living in this zone of it's a step above survival, right? Their scholarship to get out of that fight or flight mode. But the idea of being a performance athlete requires so much commitment that their level of and talent is mismatched to the setting that they find themselves in.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned the girls there, and we shouldn't skip over that because, you think the boys might have challenges, like you can multiply that by 500%, and you might find a place where the girls have so many more challenges. But, with the cultural norms that they have to do, all sorts. So it's just a difficult environment on occasions for some of these kids, and particularly on occasions for some of these kids, and particularly for the girls. So they come and go, and we don't put a hell of a lot of pressure on them. There's some that's very, 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 very brave female to, pursue cycling. So we're super, super proud of some of the girls.
Yeah, I mean, when Florence, so for those who don't know Florence's name, Florence Nakawagwa, she is currently racing squad out of Spain. Did I get that right, Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Kenny Schram generation.
Yeah, Kenny Schram generation. Thanks. So when she, yeah, Kenny Schram generation. Thanks. So when she was really the first female cyclist on the road in Masaka. Would you agree? And she
100%.
and she copped it so much, like just abuse on the road from drivers. Now, if you're Australian and listening to this and you think, oh, every day I get abused by drivers on the road, you're correct, but it's for a different reason. So it's not road rage. It's comments like, you're a woman, why are you riding a bicycle? You're never going to get a husband because at that point in Masaka, if you were a female riding a bike, you're considered to have lost your virginity. So you're not going to get no husband's going to marry you. No one's going to marry you. It's not the right role for women. The gender expectations were so strict and oppressive towards the girls in Masaka around sport in general, like whether that's soccer, whether that's cycling, didn't matter. And Florence really bore the brunt of so much of that. And speaking to Miria, and her experience on the road now is so much better, and the community has so much more support, having seen Florence's success and Miria's success now, with how the scholarships bring more income into the village around Masaka, so into Saza village where the clubhouse is based, and they're now able to see the girls in a different point of view, where these girls are being providers and earning money for their families through cycling, which was incomprehensible 5 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. So, thankfully that perseverance from some of those, let's say, pioneers like Florence and Maria has resulted in a large number of girls accumulating at the clubhouse today. So, the cultural norms are shifting; they're softening, thankfully, and some of these girls have got the confidence to come, which we're super stoked about. So, like I said, the whole project is primarily a humanitarian project, but the byproduct of it is the raw talent just keeps rising to the top, and we're pretty much forced to nurture it, give it every opportunity to be showcased around the world. So
yeah, 100%. And so that's when we come back to there's so many parts to this project, whether that's what the people who are with us today who are Zwifting see with. You see the Masaka orange and black, and you see there's these people that are like me riding on Zwift. Well, unless you're riding in Uganda, they are like you, in that they have hopes to be the best they can be on the bike. They have challenges of figuring out how they're going to provide for their families. They have worries about how are they going to fuel correctly. Right now, for those of us who live in positions of privilege, that fueling correctly is, do I eat this bar or that bar, or do I use this nutritional supplement, or do I use this powder? Whereas for these guys, it's like, do I have access to a banana today? Right? Do I eat my main meal at breakfast, or do I eat it at dinner? Like that's the difference. And so when we're trying to like compare apples to apples, we're all a bit fruity, I guess. But the challenges that they're facing, whether that's accusations of cheating because their numbers are so good, but they're so unknown, but they can't dual record because we don't have that much money to have that much tech. Thank you to Wahoo, by the way, for the support with trainers and Jet Black and like everyone else that helps to see that go through. you know, these guys want the exact same thing that everyone all around the world wants, which is security in their work, you know, a reliable income, and the opportunity to have, you know, healthy bodies. And in this case, for them, that health is being able to perform at a high level. But there's so many barriers to that. I mean, we look for like what, 6 weeks trying to find maltodextrin in Uganda, so that they can.
Yeah.
So because if you want a gel, where do you get a gel from in Uganda?
Like you said before, there's no bike shops or health shops in Uganda that you can just go to.
You can't jump onto Pushies, or you know, Mountain Bike Direct or Jensen USA or Chain Reaction Cycles and order a 24 variety box, and then it just shows up at your door, right? So we're buying you know, 25 kilo bags of just plain sugar and using that as a fuel, because that's what's available. And we want to have a gel during a race. They're gels that you take over with you. Andrew's going for it. He's out there. He's got a Andrew for the win. Andrew, well done, mate. I just got to him in time. Lost everyone else. No. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna have to give me a second. I got to get to the main group. I need to get companion open. Way to go, Andrew. We're about to miss second and third spot. Sorry, everyone. I got too busy talking.
Is it all over?
For Andrew.
No, Andrew. Isn't Andrew behind?
Nope.
He's leading, is he?
Yep. Oh, I can't get back.
Yeah, that's nice.
I can't get back.
Oh, we can see it. Stream's still running.
Yeah, but it's running on Andrew, not on the race. And because I was on him, let me go back to me. Here we go. All right, there we go. Now I can switch to Fred. There we go. Now I'm back in. All right, let me get back to the front of the race here. Where are we? So we got Aaron. So we must have had Davis come through in second. I'm not sure who came in third. And now we're going to...
No, that's just it's a climber's jersey, isn't it? It's not the finish.
That's done. Here we go. This is the finish. Woo! We got Hassan finishing up. Oh, come on, here we go. Big finish. Oh, what a finish from Mr. Boyle. Way to go, Arrow. Woo! Huge finish. All right. Now I've got to go back in. That was massive. Way to go, everyone. That was almost an hour-long effort. Massive. Huge.
My feed's lagging a little bit.
I'm so glad I didn't race today. You guys are monsters.
So what have we learned from today's first live stream, Coach? Do we need to sharpen up our game?
I think so. I think these guys are doing great. Here we got coming through now. We've got Fred. He's up by...
Oh, man, you and I. Sharpen up our game.
Oh, mate, we can always sharpen up.
Next race, we want to get someone like Kimberly Coates on the call, because she'll be far more informative about African cycling than you and I, given our experience.
Unfortunately, it's 3:30 in the morning for Kim, so she couldn't join us. But we'll run a USA. Here we go. We've got Fred about to come through the finish line. Go, Fred. We've got Elijah 5 seconds behind, and then we've got a bit of a group. We've got Elijah coming through. Nice work, Elijah.
That's a great ride from Elijah. Even that's a great ride from Fred.
Yep, fantastic.
So our sprinters are coming through.
We've got a group here now with our bigger boys coming through. We've got Abdu. Watch him win this sprint. Brian, watch out, mate. Abdu's going to get you. So yeah, we've got Abdu. We've got Captain Baker, who we didn't get a chance to speak about. We'll talk about him another day because he's an absolute legend. But I reckon there's going to be a nice little sprint here. Here we go. Abdu's winding up. He's over 1,000 watts. Go, son. Here we go. Look at him go. He's holding just around 1,000. He's going at 13 watts a kilo. Go, Abdu. Absolute legend. Here he is. Strong. Is he in the draft? No, he's not. Oh, Baker. Go, mate. What a great finish. Well done, everyone. Woo! Awesome. No surprises.
I'll have to watch this back.
No surprises there. That was awesome. Then we got Rodney. And we got Mr. Taylor, Robinson. We should have a group around here somewhere with Gab. There we go. Is that Henrik? Henrik, hello, my friend. Hendrik. And then Gab. Here we go. We've got a bit of a herd versus herd here, going a bit further back there.
We got a bit of a. I'm hoping when this uploads that the buffering's taken out of the actual YouTube version because you're calling the race, and our version that we're watching live is buffering and running behind. So I'm hoping when it loads, all that's taken out and we can watch it back.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What's Gab? Let's go into Gab. So we got here DJ, Mr. Gab, Mr. David Gab. He's a good friend of mine. He and I lived together in Beijing. He and I both lived in Beijing for quite a while. He's joined me for many of my silly ideas. I almost convinced him to come over and race gravel with me in Africa in 2023, but he couldn't get away from work. Massive supporter of the club here in Beijing as well. So thanks to Gab for all your help and support with Masaka.
I remember Dave was instrumental. He was one of those ones that really
different David.
Oh, was it?
No, so the Dave that
I thought it was David Gab.
No, so we'll stick on Gab as he's making his way through. How long has he gotten to the finish line? He's got a couple of corners to go yet. Come on, mate. And then we'll switch to Dave, who is the captain of Herd of Cassowaries, Wedgies, and everyone else that's so awesome. We'll switch to Dave in a second because he's been instrumental in pulling today's event together, and a great promoter of the Masaka Cycling Club within Zwift as well. So we'll come to Dave in a bit. In the meantime, as Gab and Hendrik, I don't know if they're going to play funny buggers with each other as they come around this last corner. Here we go. You're both on stream. I could have jumped into the Discord, but I figured us talking's bad enough. I didn't need to go to the race talk as well. Maybe we'll do that next time. Oh, here we go. He's left him. Hendrik. Gab's gone. Let's see if Gab can catch him. I'll leave these guys on for a second. I don't know if Gab's got it. Oh, it's going to be close. Gab missed the sprint by 0.002 last night. Oh, Hendrik got him. There we go. Nice work, guys. All right. There's Tim from DSS. Hello, Tim. And Ronald's out there in his own little land as he's all by himself. Poor fellow. He's one of our bees. I would be around about where Ronald is. He and I have been racing together in herd of wedge-tailed eagles, often with the same races as Tim Busik. I think I said that right, Tim. Apologies if I didn't, mate. It's great to see you joining us today. So good on Ronald. So Ronald is one of our development riders, and he has come along really, really well over the last 2 months in particular, last ZRL. We used to race all of our riders into A category, regardless of their category. So what I found we had was a whole bunch of B riders racing in A, and they were getting results in A races because they were being towed along in sort of like the back end of an A race that was keeping them in A, but they really weren't A riders. They were at that bottom end of it. So what we did is ask Peter to start getting them into B teams, and this is where the collaboration with the herd came in. So now we can transfer there briefly away from Ronald and into the role that the herd has played with the growth of our Zwift program. And so what Dave, here he is, put him on stream. Hey, Dave. Is Dave has enabled a pathway for, some of our A riders to gain more experience in the racing environment that a structured team provides beyond Uganda, but also space for our B riders or our riders that are coming up. We joked within Wedgies that we're the team that everyone gets promoted from, to the point where we had finals and there was only 4 of us that were eligible to actually race out of the 8 that started the season, because we had so many promotions of people going up, whether that was Adam out of Oz or Davis and Abdu being promoted there. So what Dave did is essentially we had a little bit of space left in our B team, so we managed to get Ronald in for that for a bit. We also had we had one other rider that was in B as well, that enabled us to ensure that our riders who are not at A level still got to experience racing either in the middle of the pack or up towards the front, because you get so much more experience racing in the correct category in the correct spot compared to just hanging out at the back getting smashed in A. And so that's been really valuable with seeing guys like Ronald come through where he doesn't have the fitness and he hasn't had the time available to train to really bring him up to A level, but his racecraft has come along so far from listening to the herd's Discord, from getting instructions from our DS, thank you to Paul in particular, or Dave or Sarah who have been helping out with that, to help hone the racecraft, or just simply introduce racecraft to some of our greener riders, which they wouldn't have had they have not had exposure to the herd. And so I'm super grateful for that. The other thing that Dave's had, and it's because he particularly loves Abdu Sprint, I'm convinced about it, is we've been having more of our herd riders join in for our team time trials with the WTRL Thursdays, which has been absolutely fantastic for our club because our time trials were abysmal. They were absolutely terrible. Our riders were doing great in every ZRL event that wasn't a time trial. And so
Yeah.
being able to slot our riders in and start to practice a pace line, which they can do in real life, but no clue in Zwift. So being able to pop them in, just one or two of them, into really disciplined pace lines that Herd and other teams like Aero and Level, those sorts of groups that have, you've got riders who have done 100, 200, 300 WTRL Thursdays. Being able to share, being able to see, being able to experience a pace line and being able to come in and out of it and not overtake the rider in front when you're supposed to be third wheel and all those sorts of things. When I'm trying to do that with 8 of them, it just doesn't work because they're everywhere. It's like herding cats. But when you put 2 of them into a team of 8, then that structure is provided for them and they catch on so quickly. These guys are so switched on and they're so talented within both outdoor and indoor riding. It only takes a couple of riders for it. We watched it with Abdu. We watched it with Hutton. We watched it with Davis, with Baker, and he had a chance to ride a little bit with Level as well. Is that collaboration that Zwift enables? It's game changing. It's so amazing to watch.
Yeah, no, it is. And shout out to Zwift too, who do provide us with licenses to run our whole program. So again, another collaboration with Team Africa Rising, connecting us with key people in the industry to enable our program to develop. So yeah, shout out to Zwift. Have we got some Benin riders still out there who started a bit later? Or
we do. I don't know any of these guys. Do you?
No, this is where it'd be great to have Kim tell us about Benin, because Benin, I believe, Adrian Nianshuti, I think are an emerging force in African cycling. So, they're one of the more unique nations, let's say, that probably are on the least corrupt side of the scale. So very well organised, very well structured, very well managed, with support from Team Africa Rising, and probably got one of the best coaches in Africa in Adrian Nianshuti. So getting Kim in the next race, I think will be a priority to share. Share a little bit more about it.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that, because Team Africa Rising, they have, if you don't follow them on Instagram, check them out, folks, because they are, I would say, the greatest advocate and informer of what is happening on the African continent in regards to cycling. Most of you who watch or come back and watch this probably don't realize how much African talent is actually emerging into the pro cycling world, and how many of them are on the roads in Europe at the moment, racing for Conti teams. It's surprising. It's really surprising. We're going to see more and more of them coming through into the pro peloton, I'd say, within the next sort of 12 to 36 months. Because the talent's there.
Yeah,
it's the pathways and opening those pathways that are the challenges.
Yeah, and the UCI and World Cycling Centre, they're really getting behind Africa at the moment, which is awesome. And there's more and more people coming to the continent, noticing the talent. Because you think about it, like, it's only a few short decades ago, post AIDS epidemic, when all these East African athletes, I'm talking about track athletes, emerged on the scene. It's only a couple of short decades ago, and now all of these African runners, East African runners, are dominating the distance athletics events all around the world. So we feel that talent translates into cycling. We do have the complexities of equipment, but in terms of raw talent, it's there and it's everywhere. So it's about finding a way to nurture it, support it, to bring it to the surface.
Yeah, For sure, for sure. I think as we start thinking about closing comments, I think that kind of brings us towards the end of our event and our stream today. But I think that's a note that we can be thinking about is what is the role that people can play to support the development of talent in their home countries or in Africa, wherever it may be. And so whether that's helping out with local, there's whether that's at your local club and trying to make sure that the kids that are interested in your club or their mates have access to equipment that they need, or whether that's trying to think more in a thinking about how equity works around the world and making sure that some kids in Uganda have what I certainly took for granted as a kid. So my ask for those that are interested is to check out our website, masakacyclingclub.com/support, and have a look at what you heard a lot of stories today. Whether that's for $5 or whether that's for B, whatever you feel like you might be able to make a contribution where you don't. It's not a sacrifice. It's a valued contribution to the development of a sport that we love. Sometimes when people talk about supporting charities, a cup of coffee, and that's all it is. And I think that devalues the impact that $5 makes. I still drink my coffee and I still donate to the club. Like it's not like I'm giving something up for this. What I see is the opportunity for me to use some of what I have that came to me through my own luck of where I was born and the hard work of my parents and my own hard work as an adult to make someone else's life better in a way that is way more than what that $30 or $5 or $10 does for me. Like my $10 buys me a cider or two at the pub, right? That $10 is feeding one of our riders for 3 days.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
helping get medical coverage for Miria's mum, or in putting her brother through school, or Baker, who we didn't get to talk to today, it's sending him to his engineering courses at uni. Like that to me is the power of the scholarship. We talked all today about racing and about Zwift. What helped me to get involved with the project through work. I also do this as a part of my job at school, getting my students involved with Masaka. But what got me involved wasn't so much the cycling aspect. It was the fact that my money can make such a massive difference somewhere else in the world, and I see great value in that.
Yeah, 100%. So
sometimes when people donate to stuff, right, they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe they're dodgy. How do you know that they're not corrupt? And I think the amount of opportunities our club has had to be corrupt, and we haven't had a chance to talk about Miro Michael, the chairman of the club tonight, because I tell you what, there is an absolutely fantastic human being that needs a whole stream just dedicated to him because he's an incredible human. But I think, when you said earlier 0% admin, 100% volunteer, yes, that's true, and it doesn't fully Ugandans have to the program. And that this is not a project of white fellas going into a black country and saying, hey, let us save you. It's a program run by Ugandans on a daily basis with the support of people who have knowledge that they don't have yet, but are rapidly developing. Yeah. And our dream is for this to become a self-sustaining Ugandan project run by Ugandans. And it takes time to get there, and it takes money to get there.
Yeah, 100% agree. So, yeah, what's beautiful about this whole thing, the whole program's driven by just everyday cycling fans from all around the world. So it's not reliant on, one rich contributor or, a handful of rich contributors. It's run by 250 monthly donors all chipping in to try and make change on this continent and give these kids a chance to chase hopes and dreams. So that's what's beautiful about it. Everyday cyclists just riding down the road participate and can get involved. We really, really love that. And, we keep everyone well informed with monthly newsletters, transparent financials, all that sort of stuff to keep everyone engaged, loving the project. So thanks to everyone. who's a current donor. And if you're not a current donor, please consider. We'd love to have you as part of the story.
Yep, check us out on Instagram, which is what is it, at Masaka Cycling Club, and also on, well, if you're watching the stream, you've already found us on YouTube. And then also, lastly, Ross, there's a couple of other brands and organisations that are also involved. They don't give money, but they do give in support, what we call in-kind support. So who else is involved in the project, so we can give them a quick shout out as well?
Yeah, well, Galibier Cycling, who's based in Ireland. They've been involved in the project from day one, so they give a lot. So all our cycling, our professional cycling gear that our riders wear on race days is all donated. It's all produced and donated by Galibier Cycling.
You can buy it. I have my jersey. I should have worn it. I'll wear it for my Everest this month. So you can wear your own exactly. It's not even a replica. It's the same. And 100% of the cost of the jersey, as in what you pay, 100% of that makes it to the club. Galibier doesn't collect any profit or cover any costs with the production of that as well. So massive shout out to them for that. Who else is involved, Ross?
Oh, you mentioned Cirque earlier. Can't speak highly enough of Cirque Cycling, based in Beijing. Shannon Buffton is an absolute gem of a human. He can take a lot of credit for moving this project forward. Still works super hard on the project today, making sure that we've got a lot of spares. Like I said, he donated 12 titanium road bikes and gravel bikes out of his own pocket. So, which was just incredible. And, today he still ships in components to support those bikes so they can get flogged to death every single day. So, Cirque Cycling's another thing.
A shout out to the Beijing cycling community as well, with the annual fundraisers to make sure, and the buy and sell groups that help fund a bunch of those parts as well. Huge commitment from the expat population in China, mostly because of Cirque's advocacy group. Both Shannon and I being involved with that. Also Bond Cycling with their provision of shoes too. Who else we got there? We've got Curve with their long-term support out of Oz as well, and Bike Matters out of Torquay. Am I correct?
Yep. So they're out of Torquay. All just grassroots cycling industry partners. We mentioned Team Africa Rising, which are huge supporters and support. Wahoo, they assist us with smart trainers. Zwift, as I've already mentioned, free licenses. Love our project. Very, very passionate about the rise of African cycling. So we've got a number of partners, awesome partners. So we're very, very grateful.
Yep. Likewise, we're also looking for particular support with working on a trailer to help us get our bike safely to races. So we're looking for some specific fundraising for that as well. So if you're looking to make a big personal impact, there's a funding opportunity there as well. And also increasing our feeding program at the clubhouse to make sure that our riders are getting enough nutrition to reach to go beyond their current ceiling, which they're hitting because they're not getting enough of the right food to hit that next level. So there's a couple of other projects. You can hit me up on Instagram as well, just at Owen Fiddler, or you can shoot me a message in Zwift if you see me online, or you can also email masakacyclingclub@gmail.com. That's a big long list of thank yous and asks as well. I think sometimes that are out there that are like the other two, and also the global cycling community as well through Zwift, and getting these kids into international circuits in Europe and the US as well. So there's lots of great impact to be had, and we're super grateful for all of the support that we've had since day one. It's amazing. It's very humbling.
Yeah, 100%. And thanks for putting this together too, Owen. Hopefully we get a few more watches down the track. Now that this has been our test case, been an awesome test case. So I'm intrigued to see what you and the herd crew come up with in terms of the courses, and something that works for